Good morning, folks. Today we've got a number of top science advancements, a solar wind enhancement, severe weather, and connecting the dots on Earth's catastrophe cycle. But we're starting here at spaceweathernews.com, and we find the last day on our star saw the southern bright active region begin its turn towards the limb. Small patchy coronal holes at low latitude complement the solid polar openings, and we did indeed take a bit of intensified solar wind overnight. The rise in the stream is obvious on the right side, but it only reaches the higher end of normal range, still a relatively weak event despite the variability to the stream, and geomagnetic conditions are quiet. Folks, a number of reports of hail and even a large tornado dropped out of this system last night. The twister was luckily away from populated areas in southern Missouri, but the bigger weather story is that flash flooding in Egypt we warned about. It happened to the nth degree, and at least 5 have been killed, with that number expected to rise. Floodwaters began accessing underground transformers and other power grid components and tossed much of the city into darkness as the waters rushed through. Let's begin the science with a simple yet paramount space weather point. The density of the solar wind is far more important than the velocity of the plasma stream. Major solar storms require that density, but do not require the speed, while even super fast flows in the solar wind will need some bulk to be most geo-effective. Those ultra-dense streams don't necessarily need the high speed. Up next, we're going to the Fermi bubbles, except we're not talking about the Fermi bubbles in our own Milky Way galaxy. They are noticing them in the distant reaches of space, and the odd thing is that they question whether or not the hot bubbles are driven by the galactic center, an active nucleus. Now, while I think that's a relatively obvious thing, the jets fueling the bubbles, they both indicate that was not their initial idea, but also it would explain the dynamics and would cause them to rethink their large-scale galactic structure paradigm. Now hold that thought, because they are rethinking the paradigm of the stellar interiors as well. By finding convective dominance in the stellar dynamos, they have not only upended the concept that plasma turbulence is not needed in the math, but in doing so have implicated a larger-scale cosmology connection to that revelation. It's the same one that allows the Fermi bubbles to be part of the large structure, and which allows the galactic disk to contain density nodes as part of a wavy, rippling current sheet. This is another inevitability of that large-scale galactic structure, and today we see them identify a group of differently moving stars that they say is due to that structure, a density wave passing by in the local arm of the galaxy. Of course, if A equals B and B equals C, A equals C as well, and if the sheet exists, the Sun must cross it, and take the same electromagnetic jolt as the Earth does when it crosses the Sun's sheet. We know the sheet has almost certainly begun to engulf the solar system already. We've seen its effects on the other planets and nearby stars too. It's the only thing that can explain all the evidence of Earth's catastrophe cycle. Folks, we greatly appreciate your support, and if I've said it 1,000 times, I'll say it again. The Cosmic Disaster Cycle playlist in the box below this video details all of this information, from the past to the scary future, to the other planets and stars being affected, and the numerous evidence points from the event pointing in one direction, the Sun. We've got your wind map forecasts and shots of our star to close, and of course we'll do this all again tomorrow, right here, but right now it's 4:20 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.